free to take your time if you need more time to prepare.
Okay, before we do start, I just ask that you would put your phones on silent and not use any flash photography. Thank you.
Alright, then if the document is ready, judges, I will get started. How many of you have seen a commercial that begins like this? Hi, I'm Greg, and I suffer from severe asthma, or arthritis, or eczema. These commercials are interesting because they make a statement and then hope that the audience will identify or relate to that statement. Although they can be irritating, I believe that there is an important lesson to be learned through them. The idea of identification or association. In the United States, we each have the opportunity to define who we will be. I believe, as Americans, we should identify with the Constitution and stand up for the ideals that it establishes. Hi, I'm Graham Gibson from Cornerstone Family Schools in Topeka, Kansas, and today I will be presenting for you my original Persuasive Oratory. On September 17, 1787, the Constitution of the United States was signed by the 39 delegates of the Continental Congress. This document established the form of government that is practiced in this country still today. It divided the federal government into 3 different branches. First, the legislative branch of government makes laws, appoints taxes, votes on the approval and election of certain governmental officials, and approves plans. Basically, they make the rules. The Constitution states that all legislative lawmaking power is vested in Congress. Congress has 535 voting members split between the Senate and House of Representatives. Next, the judicial branch is made up of all federal courts and judges. These men and women determine the constitutionality of certain acts and interpret what the laws mean. Basically, they explain how the rules should be applied. The judicial branch is made up of all the courts, but the power specifically rests in the Supreme Court. Finally comes the executive branch. These men and women use the laws to lead the people. They are in charge of enforcing the rules, and they are the head of the government. They are the face of this nation. The head of this branch is the president, but he is also supported by his cabinet. That is, the vice president, his advisors, and the heads of certain governmental departments. These men and women are using the laws to lead the people. Because the Founding Fathers wanted a system that would sustainably defend and govern the people, they created a system known as checks and balances. Specifically, Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution states, "The United States shall guarantee to every state in this Union a republican form of government, and shall protect them against invasion." End quote. Because the Founding Fathers wanted to defend the people, they created a system known as checks and balances. Each branch is given specific powers and responsibilities to keep the other branches in check and balance the system like a teeter-totter. No branch is given more power or responsibility than their share. This balance allows the people to be the most influential to governmental success and to be active in each branch of the government. As President Abraham Lincoln stated in his Gettysburg Address, we are a government of the people, by the people, for the people. As humans, we have a natural tendency to find something to identify with. For some people, this is a sports team, an apparel brand, or a religion. These associations epitomize who we are and what we believe in. We naturally seek a community that has a trait in common with us. This tendency to find something to associate with is both psychological and anthropological. We are actually designed to want something to associate with. PhD Jesse Graham talks about how psychologically our brains are wired to find something to identify with. We desire to have a common trait with the people around us. He says specifically how neuroscience confirms that we are psychologically disposed to find something to identify and associate with. As far as anthropology, or the study of cultures, goes, who we are is deeply connected to what we associate with. Anthropology PhD Mark Dombeck says, quote, "Identities are determined by what we identify with. In forming a cultural identity, people come to attach themselves to a particular set of ideas." End quote. He's saying that a culture is actually determined by what people identify with. This is what makes a commercial with someone who has a medical condition so effective. We find ourselves relating to their struggle and connecting with the commercial. Overall, in order for a group of people to work together or function properly, there must be a common goal, motive, or association. This discussion of identity leads us to a question. What is it that identifies us? In reality, we each get to make that decision for ourselves in the United States. However, as American citizens, I believe that our duty is to identify with the Constitution and the ideals that it established. We must stand up for the values laid out in the Constitution and identify with that, by allowing that to define us. 11 years before the Constitution was signed, the leaders of this young nation took a bold step by drafting and signing the Declaration of Independence from the English rule. One of the central figures in this decision was a man named John Hancock. Mr. Hancock understood how controversial the decision and the steps that they were taking were. He understood that it would likely mean death for everyone who signed. However, John Hancock believed that the common ground of a free nation was worth dying for. He wanted to be associated with that kind of freedom. John Hancock is famously attributed with signing his name in large letters and saying, "There, His Majesty can now read my name without glasses." He had pride, a sort of pride that helps found a country for people to identify with. This is the sort of attitude that we should emulate. Freedom comes at a cost. Men and women of the military boldly give up their daily lives so that we might freely govern ourselves. I'm forever grateful for their sacrifice. But beyond that, I'm proud to be associated with a country of such courage. If you are not serving to protect the United States through the military, it is still your duty to represent its values. We must be active and involved in the government. In summary, the Constitution lays out a structure of government, and it also lays out a vision of pride and patriotism that the citizens should identify with it. It is the citizen's role to identify with the Constitution. We should be just as proud to be an American as John Hancock was. Write your name large. My hope is that for each of you, when you are telling your stories to your children, the defining aspects would be your service for the government, your identification with the Constitution, and your American pride. Hi, I'm a proud American. Thank you.
Well,